All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope wherever you are in the world, it's been a good day so far. I hope 2024 has treated you really well. ICP community, I know for myself, it's treated me really well. We want to have a special live stream for you today. First, to let you know, there's going to be a video dropping tomorrow around the same time. Special gift from DFINITY to the ICP community, where we just want to recap everything that happened in 2024 and look forward to 2025. You're going to want to make some time in this weekend to go ahead and check out that video. I know I've seen clips from it, and it's a phenomenal production, and you hear a lot of great feedback from DFINITY. But for today, we want to just kind of set the stage for that, recap 2024 in a more relaxed and conversational tone, and start to look forward to 2025. And so you're going to hear from a lot of DFINITY leaders today. You're going to hear from a lot of ICP ecosystem leaders. We have a phenomenal lineup coming up at you. And I know the first question is going to be, is Dom going to be here? Yes, he is. And so wait around for that as well. He's got a special message he wants to give the ICP community. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, I want to welcome a man who you've probably seen multiple times because he has been everywhere throughout the world in the last few months, really singing the vision for ICP. I want to introduce you guys Pierre. Bringing on stage, Pierre is the Chief Business Officer for DFINITY and has just had a phenomenal 2024, just globe hopping and getting his face everywhere. So Pierre, welcome.
Thanks, Kyle, and welcome everyone. Great that you join us today.
Yeah, awesome. So let's just start. So as a Chief Business Officer, one of your main roles is to keep DFINITY focused, keep us geared towards some objectives. What are how do you see DFINITY's objectives in this past year and moving forward?
Well, I think DFINITY has been pretty focused, right? And I think this is also kind of the success recipe that kind of leads into why you see most of the metrics across the board growing by double digits, in parts even triple digits, and we even have something that's even going beyond that if you look at cycles burned and network revenue and so on. So I think this is a dedication or a result of dedicated focus. But I think, as Dom said in a couple of his last presentations, right? Our focus is really on a couple of things. While the no surprise one for everyone is AI, right? So AI has two very interesting legs for us. One of them is the entire topic around secure and sovereign AI, and I know you will have the Decide AI folks later here as well, and a few of the other projects. So that's a big one for us in terms of focus. And then there is this very, I think, infamous story around the internet computer now coming together as the platform where AI can build and update and distribute apps, right? So something I know that everyone is really excited about, and we leave it to Dom to say a bit more about it later on. So AI is one focus field. The second is obviously everything around sovereign apps and sovereign clouds. You heard us this year talking about a project called Utopia, which is currently in stealth mode under development. But in general, the idea that is now finally coming to life of a true sovereign Web3 infrastructure, right? Where people can really build apps that are free from censorship, that are unstoppable, and that really give back to the users and developers, right? So that's number two. And number three is a focus on DeFi, in the sense that, as you've seen with everything that happened in 2024, we're getting closer and closer to what I would call DeFi singularity, right? Where you have the idea of swapping assets, no matter what chain it is. And I really think users, particularly if we talk about mainstream adoption, they couldn't care less about switching networks and switching protocols. They just want to trade their assets. And I think all of this has been empowered by the 2024 achievements of our R&D team. And then next to the DeFi singularity part, there's obviously the main progress that has been done this year together with the Bitcoin ecosystem, right? And I think, what is it now? Over 40 projects in the Bitcoin space building various things from Bitcoin DeFi to Bitcoin Web3 and so on.
Yeah, we're going to dive deeper into Bitcoin in just a little bit. but I loved how you framed that AI as one giant pillar within DFINITY's objectives. Sovereign cloud, what people probably know as the brand name Utopia, as another pillar, and then DeFi. And I think probably a lot of people from the ICP ecosystem might be surprised to hear you say DeFi has actually become a focus within DFINITY, because we've typically haven't used that as a focus area. So, like, is that would that be fair to say? Is that like DFINITY is now like, yeah, we see the chain fusion technology as a key differentiator fact in DeFi, and we want to explore that area?
Well, I think it comes kind of naturally together, right? I wouldn't even see this like a pivot or a shift or anything, because due to chain fusion, actually this idea of DeFi singularity now is actually empowered, right? And as you and most of our community members know, on the IC, you can now trade Bitcoin and Ethereum and soon multiple others like seamlessly, right? So, and this ability to trade all of these assets seamlessly with, in parts, even less transaction costs, if that's a concern, really bring in a new narrative for DeFi, right? I think is really like growing up and getting rid of the tribalism that we had, right, with a few protocols in the past, and really create a platform that allows people to trade everything. Yeah,
I love that. And I mean, if DFINITY and ICP can contribute something to the industry, which obviously beyond our tech, destroying tribalism within the industry would be a phenomenal accomplishment. So within DeFi, obviously, chain fusion is a big a component. Do you see chain fusion having any component within sovereign cloud or AI?
Oh, 100%, right? I mean, really chain fusion for me is like is still a focus field for us, right? But it's really an underlying enabler for all of these three pillars to a certain extent, right? Because let's take a look at the AI part, right? If we have a protocol level integration with whatever chain, then it's easy for builders on this chain to call on smart contract AI, right? So you can still stay in your ecosystem, but you can just leverage the AI capability of the internet computer. On the sovereign apps and sovereign cloud part, is also really about the ability for everyone to use the internet computer stack, right? Because I mean, as a reminder, probably the viewers already know that, but as a reminder, usually in normal blockchain projects, the only thing that's on the blockchain is really the ledger of the token transactions. And the benefit that the internet computer brings to the entire space is basically that you can also store front and back end data in a decentralized fashion, right? Now think about all the mini apps that are coming out, all of the other exciting things happening in other ecosystems. And ICP really provides an opportunity for everyone to fully decentralize their stack while staying in their own ecosystem if they want to. Yeah.
Love it.
And the DeFi thing doesn't need any explanation for chain fusion, I guess. So
yeah, 100%. So with like sovereign cloud, I think a lot of people in the audience watching today, they heard about Utopia back in like the spring and summertime. That was probably their first introduction to this idea of ICP as like an enterprise play or a government play. But then since then, maybe they haven't seen a whole lot. There's maybe a few partnerships that have been announced, but for the most part, a lot of things have been going on behind the scenes. Give us some insight into that, like what is the feedback you've gotten? Like, where has DFINITY been to bring the sovereign cloud idea out, within like a broader community, a non-Web3 community, which is really kind of fun to have those conversations. So, what is like the background there? Like, what's happened in 2024?
Yeah, so maybe just one more thing to clarify before that. So the sovereign app and sovereign cloud is Utopia, but also it's general, building on the internet computer, right? So if you don't need kind of the intranet version, so to say, of the ICP, you can still build your sovereign apps. And I think this is also something where we saw a lot of major interest from various parties. But on the Utopia side of things, I can't say too much, right? I mean, there will be some hints tomorrow in the video as well about it. But obviously there have been some amazing partnerships that have been forged, and Tracy, which is, I believe, also on the show right after me, will also talk about it in a bit more detail. So governments really see the need for, sovereignty when it comes to their IT infrastructure, sovereignty when it comes to their cloud infrastructure, and sovereignty when it comes to the native apps that they use in their ecosystem. So I think feedback has been really great, and I think we're just accelerating into a world where cybersecurity becomes more and more of a concern, and having an option to run a sovereign app like on the internet computer or on Utopia is really a key value, right? I mean, just maybe one example. Just think about the GPT outage that we had a few days ago. The guys brought it back up like in 2 hours, so I think that was fine. But if you're in a future where you run a mission critical AI service, right, then you don't want to depend on one single kind of compute infrastructure, right? So that's why Utopia and the ability to replicate things in a tamper-proof environment are so important.
I love it. It's such a great example of how the network itself is important, and then actually the applications built on the network are equally as important. So let's double click on that. Let's go deeper into AI. I know a lot of people in the audience are going to be like, let's talk AI, let's talk AI. We're going to touch back on AI multiple times throughout this live stream, but from a business objectives perspective, like how do you see DFINITY focused in AI? How were we focused in 2024, and what will continue and change in 2025?
Yeah. So I think a key focus of 2024 clearly was, the R&D innovation that we had, which is running AI as a smart contract, right? And then relatively soon after the first release, already achieving kind of the first 10x efficiency improvement. And the team is working on many, many cool things. And I think Jan will share a bit more later on what are the advancements on the AI roadmap. So from a business point of view, I think it's really important that we, continue to make the benefits clear of why would you actually want to have sovereign AI, right? Why would you not want to fully rely for everything on a central infrastructure model? And again, by the way, I'm not saying everything is going to be decentralized. That's not what's going to happen. But there will be mission critical stuff that you want to have decentralized, and there will be privacy concerning stuff, or even user-owned stuff that you want to have on a decentralized infrastructure. So from a business point of view, we'll clearly continue to focus on the sovereign AI angle, but also, and that's the most exciting thing now is using the ability of the internet computer, in particular the full stack approach that we have, right, in combination with Motoko, our own proprietary coding language, which has something called orthogonal persistence, which is very AI friendly and allows AI. These two things would really allow AI to build apps through prompting, to update apps, and so on. So that's obviously a key focus for us for next year.
I love that. And if you missed that point, audience, there's two ways to think about AI on ICP. One is at the app level, so building AI apps and hosting it on ICP. The second, and Pierre kind of touched a little bit on that, is the idea of actually using AI to launch apps, pretty much taking down to zero the effort and knowledge required to build apps and launch them. So that's phenomenal. I know we're coming up to like the final minute or two, Pierre. So I wanted to get your opinion. Like, what is the one thing in 2025? If I had to force you to pick just one thing that people should be looking out for, that you're most excited about, what should they focus on?
I mean, it's really hard because I really think we have a lot of exciting stuff coming out in 2025. So I'm generally really bullish about the tech part that we are going to push out next year. And also, by the way, the partnerships, right? Because partnerships are also super important for an ecosystem. So there's also a lot of effort going into that. But the thing I'm really most excited about is the thing I just mentioned, which is demonstrating how AI can build on the internet computer, because that would really disrupt the way software creation is handled, but in particular how software distribution is handled. And in my mind, even, the way that the App Store model will be perceived in the future, because literally everyone can become their own App Store to a certain extent.
I couldn't agree more. And we've been talking about this internally for months and months, and it wasn't really until Dom gave an internal conversation a few weeks ago with the DFINITY employees, where like my mind actually exactly what you're saying, like app stores are now going to be redefined. The effort for like somebody who's sitting inside an enterprise and just wants to They just want to create an app to help them with a business process, a real small business process. They'll be able to do that lickety split. And so
exactly. So I mean, the beautiful thing now is that all of these puzzle pieces are now coming together, right? And they all amplify each other. So that's why I'm really excited for 2025.
2025 is the year the puzzle gets made.
Yep.
All right, Pierre, it was I really appreciate your time. I know you got a lot going on, so I'm going to let you go.
Thanks.
And just looking forward to celebrating 2025 with you.
Great. Thanks for hosting this. And to everyone watching, and enjoy the rest of the show. There's some exciting stuff coming up. And later on, you're going to see Dom as well. So, yeah.
Love it. See you, Pierre. All right. That was Pierre from DFINITY, Chief Business Officer. Let's jump over to Jesse Glass. Jesse, I hope it's all right. I'm using you put your name in the title. So
yeah, go for it. It's fun to have a unique handle, but I do have a name too.
So Jesse, you're the co-founder of Decide AI. Decide AI, you guys have two product lines, right? You have the proof of humanhood. So proving that people are who they say they are and not just a bot. And then also earlier this year, you launched a GPT on chain. Kind of walk us through like how Decide AI, how you guys have kind of got into the AI space and how you see AI taking shape.
Yeah, so it's a huge evolving field in the blockchain and AI ecosystem intersection. And so we have like a grand vision of how our product differentiates itself from others in the space. So we have a currently the Decide ID and the Decide protocol. And so GPT-2 falls in line with more of LLM research, whereas ID is about securely and privately demonstrating that you're a unique person on the internet. So this is useful for Web3 and Sybil resistance, but it could also be used in different types of verification credentials. So proving that you have a degree from a given university, or just proving that you are a human changes the way the internet could work between people. So like the way society is formed with anonymous people, you don't necessarily know, you don't form long-lasting relationships sometimes the way you would do in traditional culture and society. And there's been people pointing to that might be a not healthy trend in the way that culture has progressed as a permanent connections between individuals and greater vision and compromise. But in terms of LLMs on chain for GPT-2, that was really fun to do. And it was really enlightening in terms of what would be a viable path to go forward. So one of the things that I found really interesting about doing an LLM on chain was to understand that normally people do all these tricks where they manage memory more efficiently because we often hit the memory limits of GPUs or of smaller machines. And so they increase the number of instructions. So this is done in quantization and in flash attention. And so these are like techniques that we like manage memory or like keep the memory closer to the CPU cache to keep everything faster. And that doesn't necessarily work out the way we would want on blockchain. So we have a different set of constraints, and sort of managing them both in a unique way is an exciting area of research.
I love it. I love the focus on having a product today, and then also keeping the research line open. And I also know, Pierre had mentioned about how Chain Fusion is kind of a sub layer to everything that happens on ICP. I know you guys have recently announced a Solana integration.
Yeah, we're really excited about integrating into Solana and then providing these on-chain verifications to this the broader Web3 community, where they could use Sybil resistance and proof of humanity. So it's an exciting prospect.
You've had are you stopping at Solana, or do you see Decide AI and
I see
Decide
EVM
ID?
in the future?
Okay, that's where I was going. Yeah, it's such a great vision. 2024 has obviously been a phenomenal year for you guys. 2025, anything we should be keeping an eye on?
I mean, there's going to be a ton that I'm not going to speak to just yet, but Decide protocol will definitely advance, and as will the amount of processing that's happening on chain for ID.
Awesome. Love it. Where can people find more about Decide AI?
So there's decideai.xyz, and then it's got all the links there, but id.decide.xyz is for the ID proof of humanity.
Awesome. Jesse, I know our time is short. We're keeping the show on schedule.
I got more to say.
Oh, I know, 100%. Let's definitely do this again early in 2025. I'll give you a lot more space on the stage. And,
no worries. Thanks for having me.
Keep crushing it in 2025. Thanks,
cool.
Jesse.
Bye, Kyle.
Bye. All right, some amazing stuff going on from Decide AI. But now Pierre had kind of teased a little bit about partnerships. So let me bring Tracy. Tracy is DFINITY's head of institutional relations and communications. And she's here to talk about partnerships. Tracy, how are you doing?
Doing very well. Thanks, Kyle. How are you?
I'm phenomenal. I'm up on stage. I'm loving life. We got the holidays right around the corner. So let's just kind of recap. You, much like Pierre, you've been globe trotting. Recap for us kind of what the major highlights were for the partnerships in the ICP ecosystem.
Sure, happy to. I mean, yeah, as you've mentioned, it's been a very busy year. I'd say that over the course of 2024, we've very specifically focused on bolstering concrete efforts to sort of foster stronger relationships with governments, key institutions, etc., and looking for as many opportunities as possible to really produce joint projects, sort of education and thought leadership initiatives, etc. So I think if I were to recap maybe my top 3 highlights of the year, the first one I definitely touch on is our UNDP collaboration in and around the UTC initiative. So for those who may not know or who don't remember, UTC is this Universal Trusted Credentials initiative that really specifically looks to support micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises via a digital platform that allows them to better access financing opportunities via participating banks. And this is part of sort of a larger initiative that the UNDP started. We are very pleased to serve as the official technical partner for that initiative and are in the process of helping them build that platform. Without teasing too much about some of the info that will be shared tomorrow, there's the intent to roll this out across an entire region, obviously doing some initial POC work first, but really, really excited for what 2025 has in store. That was one of the key highlights. I think the second one that I'm really, really fond of is an announcement that we made actually during Token 2049. We had that full Chain Fusion Day or Chain Fusion Week almost, where we were hosting a crazy number of events over the course of the full week. We had one day dedicated really to sort of AI, Web3, smart city tech. And there we announced a collaboration with the Royal Government of Cambodia, specifically this Ministry of Industry, Science, Technology, and Innovation. And it essentially outlines a collaboration where we are really working closely together with them in order to help them better position themselves as a nation when it comes to topics like blockchain, AI, sovereign cloud, etc. So a big part of that is an education initiative, so getting their government officials educated on the tech. And then the third one that was very, very recent, just at the beginning of this month, is a collaboration with the ETH Zurich AI Center. So for those who may not be familiar with ETH Zurich, it is the university based here out of Zurich, Switzerland. They are a world leader when it comes to a lot of different areas of study, computer science and engineering being one of them. And the dedicated AI center that they just launched at the end of last year is absolutely stellar. They have a massive network of startups, of academics that are contributing research, of collaboration partners, etc. And we are now officially an industry partner with the center, which means we'll get to explore a lot of different opportunities over the course of 2025, from events to really exposing each other's ecosystems a bit. So the idea is that the different ICP community members and ICP projects get exposure to their network and vice versa. So a lot of seeds that were planted, let's say, over the course of 2024 that will now come to fruition in 25. So I'm super excited for the months ahead.
I mean, just the diversity of what you said in terms of organizations where we're collaborating with. You had the United Nations, you had a major worldwide organization, you had a state, a country state, and then you also had a major university. And then the topics, right? You have AI, you have smart cities, you have universal trusted credentials. Phenomenal. What should we expect more of the same in 2025?
Absolutely. I feel like this is, again, you can see a lot of the groundwork was laid over the course of the last 12 months or so. And now 25 will really be focusing on one, of course, managing and bringing the existing partnerships to success, but also being able to utilize those partnerships in order to attract additional partners with looking to solve similar problems, looking to engage in similar topics, research areas, etc. So I think this is an ideal setup for us to have a really strong start into 2025, and again, onboard additional partners over the course of the next year.
I love it. I love it. So much good work going on. It's great to see the technology making a difference in the world, and how different organizations at different levels are adopting it. Tracy, I really appreciate your time. Maybe later we'll come back. We'll tell the story of how we were making best friends with celebrities when on our travels. But we'll save that for a story for a later time. Tracy, thank you so much.
Been a pleasure. Thanks, Kyle.
Happy holidays. All right, now keeping the show moving, we have, if you've been an ICP OG, this name is not going to be unfamiliar to you, or if you're a Bitcoin, a big building on Bitcoin person, let me bring Bob Bodily, freshly shaven. I have started growing my beard back out, and you have shaved it. Bob, how are you doing?
Yep. Yeah, good. People always say it takes 10 years off, so I'm 10 years younger with a clean face. But yeah,
I'm questioning whether I'm talking to the actual Bob Bodily, because I don't think I've seen you clean shaven before.
yeah, I know it's been a while, but it's good.
All right, recap for us 2024 in terms of building on Bitcoin.
Yeah, I would say that at this point, ICP is essentially the behind-the-scenes interoperability layer to solve the massive user and liquidity fragmentation we're seeing in the market today. I think we have a lot of capital forces that are driving user and liquidity fragmentation across chains, and this is apparent in the Ethereum ecosystem as well as the Bitcoin ecosystem. And so I think solving this problem specifically for the Bitcoin ecosystem, I mean, ICP is extremely well positioned to support these kinds of use cases.
Yeah, are you seeing a lot of, because I know you're really good, you're obviously really well in touch with the ICP community. You're really well in touch with the building on Bitcoin community. Are you seeing a lot of traction there? Or is it like, are we early stages, mid stages, late stages? Give us an idea of what ICP's role is going to be moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this, invisible behind the scenes interoperability layer, which is kind of the unique use case that can be solved using the tech, ICP tech. And we're seeing lots of teams that are building on Bitcoin come and leverage bits and pieces of ICP in order to facilitate what they're trying to build for users. Whether it's, easy to build oracles directly in ICP smart contracts, or whether it's leveraging the threshold ECDSA or EDDSA or Schnorr subnets, or whether it's getting Bitcoin data from the Bitcoin Light node or other things running on chain. And we are seeing more growth here in kind of the cross-chain Bitcoin space on ICP than we have maybe in any other chain or ecosystem before.
It is great. Bitcoin's obviously got a great place in everyone in crypto's heart. It's the OG. ICP obviously being a completely different take on blockchain and crypto technology than everything else. And it's great to see the Venn diagram of these two things overlapping, and the fact that ICP can bring so much value to Bitcoin. What do you expect? What should we expect from 2025? Is there something that's got you particularly excited?
Yeah, I'm very excited about this seamless integration of blockchains. I think we're going to see some applications start to essentially be built on ICP, but you don't even really need to know that they're built on ICP. So I'm, ICP will be this invisible layer, plugging in the gaps wherever you need it. And then you can build a Bitcoin application, or you could build an Ethereum application, or you could connect Ethereum and Bitcoin, or you could connect Base with Ethereum and Bitcoin. And I think it'll be seamless. I think it'll be really fast. I think it'll be fantastic. And I think we're going to start to see a lot of really great applications that start to get a lot of users from outside of the ICP ecosystem.
Love it. And you yourself yesterday teased on X possibly a new Bitcoin product that you're involved in. Did you want to tease any more, or you want to keep the mystery?
Yeah, so been building for the last six and a half weeks new stealth product on Bitcoin, leveraging, strategically leveraging ICP for the majority of the back end work, and very excited about it. Coming soon.
Where do people follow you to keep up to date?
Yeah, I'm just at Bodily everywhere. Twitter, Telegram, Discord. With questions, if anyone has questions or wants to get in touch, happy to chat.
Love it, Bob. I appreciate your time and happy holidays, man.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, take care. Bob was talking about the amazing tech behind that ICP can essentially bring to Bitcoin. That tech didn't happen by accident. It was the result of years and years, thousands of years of people effort. And the person who leads those people effort is joining us here today. We got Jan Camenisch, the CTO of DFINITY Foundation. Jan, how are you doing?
Hi, Kyle. I'm doing great.
I love the NFTs behind you. I know you've got a little bit of degen in you, but let's dive deep into the roadmap accomplishments of 2024. I can't imagine. I know you're always thinking real big. So maybe this didn't surprise you, but just what your team accomplished in 2024 has been phenomenal. Kind of walk us through the highlights of the roadmap accomplishments.
Yeah, I guess you were on the R&D global R&D holiday edition yesterday, right? And it was really so happy to see all what happened. If you're in the trenches, or when you're in the trenches, you're always focused on things that should go better here and there, and just make sure it all happens. And then I guess this time of the year is really great. You look back and you're always amazed how much happened. I think it was almost every year I've been at DFINITY, it's the same thing, and I'm continuing to be surprised how much had happened. Obviously, this year, I guess that's what I said yesterday. All these hockey sticks that we see on the metrics that you also presented. It's totally rewarding, but of course that doesn't happen without actually, that the protocols scaling up, libraries being available, all the work behind the scenes that are very hard to see, and actually, people shouldn't see. Right? That's the task of R&D to make this all happen. Yeah, I guess in terms of highlight, obviously it's the last couple of milestones that really helped scaling out. I think these are some faster, as I said yesterday, cutting a lot of things in half or then triple, throughput and all of that kind of stuff. So that's that, and then on top of that, the demos that we had done with AI, not so much because it's AI, but really. I guess from a compute perspective, how much compute, how much storage, what you actually can run on the intercomputer protocol already. I think that's sort of amazing to see what you can do. As Pierre said, it's not a glorified token ledger, but it's actually a full stack computer where you can run your sovereign software, you can own your software, and I think we've laid the foundation this year. I guess as every year for the next year, but we're gonna see together with AI building really more hockey sticks next year.
The more hockey sticks, the easier my job is. So I appreciate that, Jan. That was one of the things that came through with Pierre's part, was just how broad ICP's reach is. So when you think about things like Chain Fusion, your team delivered, EVM or Ethereum integration with EVM and L2s. You delivered threshold Schnorr, which has a big impact on Taproot assets on Bitcoin. So that would be one focus. But then you talk about like AI, and then you talk about like developer experience, and you talk about like the network capacity, and these are all different buckets. Like how do you as a leader manage these different threads that you're having to constantly kind of keep pushing on all at the same time?
Well, just constantly keep pushing on is the right word here, but obviously also not all of these things. Some of them are like more in the stage of narrative, right? Where I mean, for instance, on AI, we have like much fewer people working on than in scalability, because I mean, scalability covers essentially the entire stack of the protocol, right? It covers the networking, it covers consensus, etc., etc. Or then you have stuff like Schnorr signatures that also go like all the layers, and all the teams are involved in, which then naturally takes more resources to build that than doing maybe an AI demo. So it's always, I guess, what the narratives that we tell, and then the resources that we spend in R&D. It's always two different things, but that's good, right? It has to be. You need to work out with narratives, right? And then or the Chain Fusion team. If you just look at the team that we call Chain Fusions. I'm probably wrong here, but I guess like 2 engineers right now, right? Whereas, of course, the narrative is much bigger, because the narrative involves Schnorr, and the Chain Fusion team is really they built the RPC canisters, the CK tokens, and all of that. But it takes much more, right? So the narrative, of course, is much bigger. And also, I'm really happy about how Chain Fusion was perceived. I guess I can't remember like when we came out with the term Chain Fusion, right? And I guess a year ago we didn't even speak about Chain Fusion, and now actually it has been very well perceived in the industry, right? When we had events and we had Chain Fusion banners and hats and whatnot, actually people stopped by and were interested in what is this. So it's like in many ways it worked better than internet computer, because then said, oh, okay, I don't need a computer on the internet kind of thing. And there's Chain Fusion, so that's something in it for me. And I think that's, like thinking about this year, what changed also is more in big part is in our heads, right? I mean, as an organization, not only R&D, but all of us became much more minded about what can you build, how can other people use what we have built. They became more like user focused or developer focused, making sure that people can use what we've built, because otherwise, if nobody uses it, we don't see hockey sticks. And but it's also sort of, we don't want to work for the bit pins, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I love how you kind of frame that about all this technology is really great, but actually packaging it up into like recognizable packages is also super important. One of the examples of that, I'll bring up the roadmap here. Anyone can go see the Internet Computer roadmap at internetcomputer.org roadmap. So this was something that your team produced in terms of just how to actually think through these different milestones that we started accomplishing. And again, I just want to point out just how broad your team is delivering, right? You have privacy, we have Chain Fusion, you have decentralized AI, platform decentralization, identity, digital assets, governance, tokens, developer experience. A lot of different categories there. In terms of like 2025, like what's got you most excited for? Which of these milestones are you like super excited to finally bring to production? And also, which ones keep you up at night?
So, I mean, first of all, we're going to update the roadmap early January, right? So what you see is a bit of a temporary view. Of course, it's always a temporary view, but beginning of the year, and we will have an R&D workshop early January just to refine things here. So, I mean, those things that keep me up at night, you won't see them here, right? Because we're still coming. But I think again, this is sort of a lot of work. Actually, identity is one that I'm really excited about, where we're going to do like revamp things. Because you only see designer standard here. Again, the milestone will be formed in the few weeks, but we have exciting discussions with the team. We want to change quite a few things, how things are done. So that's going to be great. But you could keep me going for the whole stack here. But I think at the end of the day, I happily repeat a bit what Pierre said about this, like AI and to build with AI, and like we've seen ICP Ninja as making it easier for people, AI building with AI, making it easier for people, because at the end of the day, the internet computer is a full stack platform, right? And the full stack platform always is hard to push out to get it to the market, because people will have to move onto the full stack platform, and here AI is really like a key tool to enable you to switch to a new platform. And from that point of view, I can't wait the growth that we'll see from AI. And from that point of view, I think everything around that, I'm really looking forward. And I guess Islam gave us some teaser as well yesterday about some stuff in that area. Again, we're approaching this from multiple ways, right? I guess caffeine we have teased about, that will be a big piece. But then what Islam teased about will be a big piece. And then this, sovereign software means for users actually to own their code, own their data on the public network, or if you want on a Utopia network. I mean, we could continue forever here. It's like every single one I'm getting excited about when we talk about it. So I think that's what makes my job so much fun, right? Because there's so many great stuff we're doing, all of it very exciting. I guess I'm excited about the 2025. If you want it, it's going to be a great year.
I can sense your excitement. I think you keep mentioning the global R&D from yesterday. I highly recommend everyone watching. Go to the DFINITY YouTube channel. Give that a watch. It's about an hour long, and again, just hear about all the progress that has been made recently. Let's dive deep into the AI technology side of this, because a lot of times DFINITY, we talk about like things like increasing like storage size and WASM and all these different technologies. Help people understand like why is ICP so unique? When we say that you're hosting inference on chain, why is that unique compared to perhaps like an Ethereum or a Bitcoin or a Solana?
Right. I mean, I guess on Bitcoin and Solana or Ethereum or all the other chains. I mean, Pierre mentioned the glorified ledgers, right? You can do some smart contracts, but they're all very limited, right? I mean, you can. I don't know by heart like the amounts of storage these guys have, but it's like more like 4K versus like 500 giga on ICP. So just to hold all the parameters of an AI, you can't do that, right? And then the next thing is all the computational power that you need. Obviously, right now we don't have like GPU support on the network yet, right? So I mean, that still limits it, but I mean, as we've seen before, right? We had Decide AI, we had Kinnick, also the global R&D. Islam gave a good overview of like how much AI already works like on chain, what you can do on chain, and we want to build out that support. I think for the on one hand, like if you really want to do it replicated, so it will be CPU bound, but we have some nice advancements going on there to make it more powerful. And then eventually we probably have like AI, I guess we call them AI workers or something, so that we have like AI nodes that we can somehow integrate that have GPU supports, stuff like that will be coming. But also here it's very much like, like we need to release stuff. We need to see what people like, what people can do. And then it's all about seeing where people hit bottleneck, addressing those bottlenecks, and just go step by step, right? Because if we said we want to have like a fully supported GPU subnet, I mean, if nobody uses it, it's going to be bloody expensive, right? And so I think we need to get step by step, just push hard, like of course in all directions, but then expand in those directions where we see usage and people picking it up.
I love that. I love that iterative approach of let's get something out in the market. Let's get it in the hands of developers. Let's see what's useful to them, what isn't useful. I know we're going to be talking with Patrick from Anakai next. And I know his co-founder Arjun was mentioning the fact that like ICP makes it extremely easy to launch an LLM. Like when you launch it, even compared to like a Web 2, like a Amazon Web Services or an Alibaba Cloud, where it's complex to launch an LLM. do you mind giving like a quick background of like why ICP might be advantageous in that area?
Well, I think ICP just makes it easy to any piece of software, to launch any piece of software, right? I mean, that's what it's meant to be. It's meant to be the place where you can just run your software on the internet. And so obviously launching software easily is like one of our key targets. And so whether it's an LLM or some other kind of WASM, it's just whatever compiles to WASM, you ship it onto the protocol and you run it, right?
I love it. I love it. Jan, I know you're a busy guy. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Also, just give my kudos and credit. I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of the ICP community when I say just the team you're leading is doing amazing work, and we look forward to seeing what you produce in 2025.
Thanks, Kyle. It was a ton of fun.
All right. We'll see you soon, Jan. All right. You're going to catch more. You can catch more from Jan and the video that's dropping tomorrow. But let's dive deeper. Jan was talking about how ICP exists to be useful to developers. And so let's bring one of the leaders in that area. Let's bring Patrick from Onykai. Patrick, how are you doing?
Hi, Carl. Good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
I love, we talked just a few days ago. I'm glad to have you on board again. Give us a quick background on what Onykai is and like what ICP kind of provides you as like a platform for building a very unique AI product.
Yeah, so Onykai, it's kind of in the name. We are on IC AI, and that's really what we focus on, whether that's running AI, generative AI mainly, like large language models directly on ICP, or delivering decentralized AI applications from ICP. So these could also be large language models that then run on your device directly through the browser. So ICP really for us is the ground layer, the platform where we host everything. And by its sheer computation and storage capabilities, we're able to really push the AI forward by running something as intensive as a large language model directly on chain.
I love it. I love it. And obviously, in terms of finding out more for Onykai, you got your web address right there in your handle. So I definitely recommend everyone who's watching go check it out. But I also want to, you're also a leader in the community in the sense of in the decentralized AI, the DAI community as well. And so walk us through the DAI manifesto that recently came out and what's the need for a DAI manifesto?
Yeah, so the DAI manifesto really came out of the DAI working group that we have for ICP. And we started more than a year ago, have been having weekly calls. And it's really a fantastic group of builders interested in AI and aiming to push the space forward. And we came together with the DFINITY team, actually, with some of the team members from the growth, engineering, and marketing on one of the calls. And the idea for Manifesto was born because we understood that it's still early, the DAI space, and we wanted to kind of bring our shared values down on paper, but also make sure that it can serve as a guide for all of us building and going forward. And assuming that 2025 will have much more DAI activity even. We hope this can also make a difference. And we think a manifesto like this is important to really understand this is such a powerful and transformative technology. We should be value-based, and we think that DAI can really bring something important to the table when we also look at the broader AI space.
So one of the things that really strikes me is there's kind of two sides to DAI. There's the legit like seriousness of this matter, and this manifesto touches on that in terms of like I mean AI is coming, and DAI has a role to play in that for the security, for the privacy, for all sorts of accessibility. It has a strong role to play on that. So that's one side, and then the flip side is perhaps what's like the non-serious side of people mixing AI with more standard blockchain or crypto technology that creating AI meme coins and that kind of stuff. What I love about this is it really puts a flag in the ground to say like, hey, this is something that we have to take serious and we have to kind of all align on this. is there like kind of give us a quick update of, or like a quick background of just what are like the key tenets here in terms of what's important for decentralized AI to be focused on?
Yeah, I think you really said it well right now. This is something we should take serious, the AI wave. And actually, crypto has been an answer to many systems that were built in a centralized way first, right? Whether that's the financial system, and then the answer was cryptocurrencies, whether that's clouds, and the answer was ICP. And now we are looking at a gigantic new wave with AI. And why not build it in a decentralized way right from the start as much as we can? And there are all of these 7 values we spelled out there we think are important. I would say the most important is definitely safety. That is valid for any software system or any system in general, but we wanted to highlight that. And then I would say the defining one for decentralized AI is really the self-sovereign AI, because it means that you as a controller are in charge. You're not just a consumer anymore, like you are with the common AI services, where you go to a website, you just consume their service, but you have no control over your data or the model that you're using. And the self-sovereign part really pushes that control back to you as the user. And yeah, I think that's what decentralization is all about in general. And this is what we as builders and every builder in the DAI working group is also trying to achieve.
So good. So everyone watching, if you agree with what Patrick is saying, come on to DAImanifesto.com, add your signature to this. You'll be posted down here at the bottom where everyone who is signed. Patrick, where can people find Onic AI on X?
It's Onikai HQ. Maybe I can put it in the chat here.
Yeah, go and throw that in the comments. I know our time is short. We have so much more to talk about. We'll probably circle back early in the year and get you back on here. But Patrick, just want to thank you for your leadership in the space and encourage everyone to keep an eye on Onic AI.
Thank you so much and see you soon.
Awesome. I love it. All right, let's change gears a little bit from AI over to Chain Fusion. One of my favorite people in the world, Sam Burri. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. Hi, Kyle. Very nice to see you, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, glad to have you on. So if everyone watching, if you're not familiar, Sam is the VP of Engineering at DFINITY. A lot of the Chain Fusion narrative and work that has gone behind has come from Sam's team. So Sam, let's dive deeper into that. You and I had the chance to take Chain Fusion to Nashville at the Bitcoin conference. I see your hat back there, your little Motoko. Give us kind of like a background of like what Chain Fusion is and like what 2024 meant for Chain Fusion.
Sure, happy to do so. Briefly, Chain Fusion is the ability for smart contracts on ICP to own and transfer assets or tokens on other chains. And they can do so without a single point of trust. And this requires 2 main components. One is you need to be able to sign transaction on other chains. And there is different signature schemes on different chains. And we have heard some of them, but Bodily spoke about them already. So for example, we started out with ECDSA, which was necessary for Bitcoin. Then this year we added Schnorr and EDDSA. Schnorr is required for ordinals. EDDSA is required for Solana integration. So basically you need these signature schemes. And the important is these signatures happen without the entire key being ever present entirely in one single place. So you don't rely on a single party that sort of safeguards your key. It's distributed among the nodes of the key. So that's one piece. Yeah, or maybe just quickly to the second, if it's okay. So the integration part is the other piece where you want to talk to these chains. And maybe sorry, I interrupted you, but these 2 pieces make together create this capability, Chain Fusion.
I love it. And I want to just kind of circle back to that. The idea that the key doesn't exist in any one place. That's kind of the core of the branding that we have of Chain Key, correct?
Right,
and
exactly.
Why is that important that the key doesn't exist in one place at any time?
I mean, think about it. If you have your key in one place, this one person organization whatever AI agent, whatever it is that controls this key, can do whatever they like on your behalf, right? They can go and empty your accounts. And if you do not have this situation, if you need basically a collusion of multiple actors, you increase the security. And that's what's so special. And that's what this threshold signing is, exactly that you run a protocol, all these parties together have to all agree to do their sort of partial signature, if you want, and thereby increase the security and lower trust assumptions.
So you had mentioned obviously Bitcoin integration, both on the native protocol or the basic transactions, what we typically think of a Bitcoin transaction, as well as Taproot assets, so ordinals and meta protocols. You mentioned Ethereum. You also, so those are already live, but then you mentioned like Solana. So give us a peek into the future of like what chain fusion looks like in the future.
Yes. So we have, I mentioned these signature schemes. So I think we have by now covered the key signature schemes. Now, what is left? You could say it's interesting to, of course, extend this integration to other chains. And Solana, being a very popular chain, is, of course, one of them, right? So having an easy integration, an easy API for developers on ICP to control assets, transfer assets on Solana is something that I'm quite confident will happen very soon. Actually, also the community is building such solutions. So I just want to emphasize this is not just all DFINITY. There is very attractive community projects. I think we have colleagues from Omnity on later on. Great work they do. So Bodily, advocate in we heard him before, big advocate in the Bitcoin space. So let's really give recognition to all those parties. They all help make this happen. So Solana is a topic. Another thing we eventually will see is, as this is going to be used more frequently, we want to probably increase the throughput. So you want to be able to have to do more signatures per time. And here we have theoretical results that were already published, for example, by a former colleague, Victor Schub, where we think theoretically we can go up to 50,000 signatures per second. And in addition, you could even parallelize this by doing this on multiple subnets. So the throughput efficiency is a topic, interaction with additional chains. I think these are the key topics for the year to come.
I love it. And so much going on. You touched real briefly. I feel bad. I kind of interrupted and geared the conversation differently, but you also talked about the ability to read from other chains. Real quickly, just give us some background why that's important.
Well, think about it. If you now, let's think what is possible with this chain fusion. And we heard, you spoke a lot about AI. So now say you want to create your AI agent that runs in a decentralized fashion, for example, possible on ICP and not on many other chains. And this AI agent shall control, say, your assets or act on your behalf. So now you want this agent to be able to read and do some activities, do some trades. That needs this AI agent to be able to read, to sign a transaction, to do some actions on your behalf. That's a little example, right? We recently launched Oisi, which is a wallet, a multi-chain wallet in your browser that can use this functionality. There is, of course, numerous examples. And I think actually the best examples are the ones from the community where you have passionate people such as Bodily, who worked on the Bionic marketplace for ordinals. They have shown the passion and what is possible with this infrastructure.
That's so awesome. It's so crazy to think about like just how much things have changed in 2024. And Sam, I thank you so much for your leadership, the work that your team does. I know they pull some pretty long hours. So we in ICP all really appreciate their dedication.
Thank you. Very nice seeing you, Kyle. Great show here. And I wish you all, also to our community, a really happy Christmas and an exciting 2025.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Sam. I'll see you
Thanks.
soon. And Sam gave a great segue to our next guest, highlighting the awesome work Omnity has done. Let me bring Louis, the co-founder of Omnity and CEO. Louis, I'm reflecting I think it was like 9 months ago, you and I met for the first time. and the Omnity team was just kind of coming around to seeing like how your product could take shape on ICP. And now you fast forward to, December 2024, and you guys are just everywhere, complete, like integrating across the board within the Bitcoin ecosystem, across multiple chains like Solana and Tron. And so just kudos to your team for all you've accomplished.
Thank you, Carl. We are happy that about the decision to jump into ICP ecosystem, and I think so. Omnity is a let's say Bitcoin infrastructure, but built on ICP Chain Fusion. Samuel has explained the concept of Chain Fusion in the most concise way. So Chain Fusion is about to let's say enabling ICP smart contract to talk with other blockchain directly. So this primitive is, I think ICP is the first one who realized that this kind of capability could play a critical role in Web3 space, and have been work hard for Chain Fusion in the past 2 or 3 years, and then the effort has finally paid off. And now we see Omnity, Bionic, and other ICP ecosystem project out there to leverage this unique Chain Fusion capability to enable some marvelous use case that other blockchain cannot match.
Yeah, I love so some background just on Omnity. You guys have your bridge which connects different Bitcoin chains, also different L1s outside of Bitcoin, but there is definitely a core Bitcoin sense to the bridge. How are you guys kind of seeing that develop, and what are you looking forward to in 2025 in terms of like your product development?
Sure. I think the so-called Bitcoin Season 2 or Bitcoin Renaissance, triggered by Ordinance, enhanced by BRC20 and then Runes, has proved that Bitcoin is still the king of crypto, and his dominance is even still growing. And thanks to the Chain Fusion tech stack, we believe that ICP is the let's say the best companion chain of Bitcoin. We can let's say enable some, let's say, real cool use case on Bitcoin by leveraging ICP Chain Fusion. The first area we have been working on is interoperability, so connect Bitcoin with many different blockchain, EVM, Cosmos, Solana, Tong, and and more will come. And the second area is about programmability enhancement. We have published RE white paper, which is an execution layer built on ICP, make ICP smart contract can facilitate Bitcoin layer 1 transaction. And I think this will lift out the major, maybe the last rolling block of Bitcoin DeFi, and help Bitcoin ecosystem really to grow into a highly diversified, with so many type of asset class and huge trading volume on the chain. This type of eco.
Yeah, I'm so excited for the Runes execution environment. I've read their white paper, and what makes me excited about it is just the fact that Bitcoin's kind of missed out on a lot of the programmability wave that you've seen from Ethereum and Solana mainly. But we're really we're at the precipice where I think Bitcoin kind of takes the lead again. It takes it back, because what you can do on Bitcoin, leveraging ICP tech, leveraging Omnity, you're going to be able, like everything that could be possible on Ethereum and Solana is going to be possible on Runes. And in particular, I know of multiple major Runes projects that are launching in the next few weeks. So the ecosystem is going to really build out in terms of like what you can do as well. So Louis, I just want to thank you and Omnity for all the hard work. You guys are bringing a lot of programmability, a lot of shared liquidity across the space back to Bitcoin, and really trailblazing in this Bitcoin season too. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, we want to be a contributive participant in ICP eco. We help others, like people around this place help us. Yeah, thank you all those people.
Yeah, you guys have been awesome. It's been great, great working alongside of you and seeing it. And I think 2025 is going to be a huge year for Omnity as well. So
Sure.
where can people follow? How can people follow you and Omnity on X?
So Omnity's Twitter is Omnity Network, and my Twitter is Louis Liu BJ. So yeah, you can find me at Omnity Twitter content. Yeah.
Love it. Thank you so much, Louis, and we'll look forward to following you guys in 2025.
Thank you. See you.
Yeah. Happy holidays. It's phenomenal work going on by Louis. Louis has got a big development team that are building on ICP. Let's bring up Radu, sporting a phenomenal sweater.
Thanks.
So Radu, you're going to give your best Lomesh impression today. Radu's filling in for Lomesh, who's off today. So welcome, Radu.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's hard to fill in for Lomesh, but I'll do my best.
The sweater is definitely helping. I really appreciate. I know you were off today as well, so I really appreciate you making time for this.
My pleasure.
Let's just dive deep into in terms of developers on ICP. Obviously, ICP exists for developers, right? That's our main customer. What have we seen in 2024 in terms of growth, and what specific areas are really taking off?
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I think 2024 was a great year, and it was apart from the hockey sticks that you mentioned earlier. I think that in my personal opinion, it's the beginning of we're actually at the beginning of a much bigger hockey stick in terms of developers and in terms of on-chain activity. I think that also what Sam was mentioning and what Jan were mentioning, that chain fusion wasn't even a thing a year ago, and now we're seeing so much activity coming from that space. We're seeing projects like we've just had Louis there with Omnity and many others building and using this chain fusion. Also, decentralized AI wasn't really a thing a year ago. So we're seeing like a bunch of projects that are building and are using the ICP in creative and innovative ways. So I think that definitely those are two key areas from the past year. I also like to see like the DAO landscape evolving, and we've had for example some significant launches in the past year. We've had also the DeFi space kind of catching up with projects like Water Neuron that are bringing liquid staking to ICP. So I think there's my personal impression is that 2024 was a great year, but it was kind of like a year where a lot of things fell into place, and motion is starting to happen, and you can see it like in the recent Electric Capital report, but you can also see it in like network activity and what has happened. And
yeah, I love, man, you touched on so much we could dive deep into. I unfortunately don't have you scheduled for an hour, so love the recap of the fact that chain fusion didn't exist, and all of a sudden at the beginning of this year and now at the end of the year, we're talking about dozens and dozens of teams building chain fusion technology, decentralized AI, DAOs. And I know for a fact that behind the scenes, you've had a role to play in all three of those. Let's talk real quickly on the developer report put out by Electric Capital. This is like the go-to annual report within our industry. like what stood out to you in terms of like where ICP succeeded, and then where do you think we build off of this for 2025?
Well, I think it's definitely the fact that we're by overall developers and by full-time developers, like what what you're showing right now, that we are one of the fastest growing ecosystems. I think that's incredibly important, and that's what we from the growth team and the entire DFINITY Foundation is actually working for, to make sure that that developers top of ICP. Sorry, I think you lost me a bit, or
I think just for a second, I was wondering if it was me or you.
Yeah, yeah. So I think this is a testament to the things that I was mentioning, like to the chain fusion tech stack, to ICP's capability that are specifically tailored for decentralized AI, and again, kudos to the R&D team for all the developer experience improvements that have happened over the past year. Also, kudos to projects like Azel that are smoothing out the onboarding journey. So I think this is definitely something good that has happened over the past year. But I want to mention something because if we're looking at 2025, there's one statistic that stood out for me from the Electric Capital report, which is the fact that 36% of developers from the crypto ecosystem overall are now multi-chain developers. And this is up from, I think in 2020 was less than 20%, if not even less than that. So I think we're getting to a point where tribalism kind of is not that important. And I think like with the chain fusion stack, ICP is uniquely positioned to kind of be that blockchain for multi-chain developers.
I love it. I love how you frame that as well as just recognizing the industry trend is towards multi-chain. ICP is very well positioned for that trend. And so I know I only had you for a few minutes, Radu, but want to thank you so much for your time. And then maybe just get like, hey, if you had to make one prediction for 2025, what would you feel confident predicting?
That developers are going to grow, and that growth will most likely come and will enhance ICP's growth. So I think like the growth of developers, active developers on ICP will kind of go hand in hand with this multi-chain developer growth that we're seeing happening right now.
Love it. Love it. Radu, I thank you so much for your time, and enjoy your holiday breaks.
Thank you so much, and Merry Christmas to everyone watching us. And actually, thank you very much, Kyle, for the invitation, and looking forward in 2025 to hosting more Bitcoin ecosystem live streams.
So much good stuff going on. I'll be glad to join you in anything. All right, Radu.
Thank you, sir.
Merry Christmas.
Have a great day.
All right, so Radu's talking about multi-chain developers, as well as just the incredible growth of the developer community within ICP. Let's bring up one of the ICP OG developers. We got Hamish, who's one of the co-founders of OpenChat. OpenChat is a chat app that was one of the first to start building on ICP, and has now just built out an incredible product line. Hamish, how are you doing?
Hello, yeah, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
How so I want to dive deep into DAOs particularly, because that is kind of an area we focus a lot on, like chain fusion and AI, but really ICP has become home to it's basically become home to our entire industry's DAO infrastructure. I presented yesterday that 22 of the top 25 most active DAOs in our industry are on ICP. You yourself are contributing to that with OpenChat. So walk us through kind of like the decision for OpenChat to turn itself over to a DAO, and what that's been like since then.
Well, I think the thing that differentiates OpenChat from the incumbents, WhatsApp and Telegram and stuff, is that it is a DAO. It's all community controlled. All the code is open source and verifiably open source. So we can be more trustworthy than any of these other big players ever could be. And when we first went for the SNS, we were, I guess, a little bit worried that things might slow down and there'd be hurdles all the time. But actually, as you can see from us making so many proposals, that's why we're up near the top of the DAO leaderboard or whatever you want to call it. It's been really easy. It's been very smooth. I don't think we've slowed down at all since becoming a DAO. I think it took a bit of time to kind of streamline our process, but having done that, it hasn't been any issues. If anything, it's been a positive, like a really big positive. Just being able to get the community more involved, gets more activity flowing on OpenChat, and just generally makes it a better product.
Yeah, walk us through, because I'm fascinated by this idea of the DAO actually adds a layer to the product that gives you a differentiating factor, like you said, to your Web2 counterparts. Kind of walk us through how you see the product enhanced with the fact that you're DAO controlled.
Well, so ideally, OpenChat would have all of the features and an as good UX as you'd expect from any messaging service. Over the past year, we've definitely improved a lot in that regard. Like if you compare OpenChat now with how it was a year ago, the features are much fewer bugs. There's more features. Like we've got video calls, we've got bots coming soon, so you'll be able to say /price ICP, or you could have a bot that posts every time there's a GitHub commit. These are features that you just expect from Telegram and WhatsApp, and we now want to have all of those features, and more. And so we can have things like P2P swaps in a trustless way that none of these other people could do. Although I think I didn't really answer your question. Your question was about what was it? How this?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's great. And it got me thinking about how I need to, behind the scenes, ask if you can reset my streak, because I had a streak at 110 and I lost it recently, and it's broken my heart. But let's leave that aside.
Insurance coming soon.
Yeah. Okay, good. I need it a couple days ago. What in terms of how a DAO helps you guys, how it adds to the product,
Yeah,
differentiates from a Web2?
Well, for one, it makes it trustworthy because everything happens out in the open. All the code is open source. Anyone can verify that the code running is in fact the code running. But also it gives any users a platform for them to put forward their own ideas. We've had loads of proposals that weren't submitted by the core team. We've had, maybe 100 proposals that have been submitted from people outside the team. And that's great. You would never envision making a proposal to WhatsApp and it gets accepted. That's not possible. Yeah. But people can make proposals to OpenChat, and if the community like it, it will get approved. And I think that's really cool.
I love thinking about if you let's say at Telegram headquarters, they're sitting around talking about the product, and essentially what you're saying is at OpenChat, at Telegram, it'll be a bunch of professionals who are paid by Telegram to sit and think about where should the product go. What you're saying is actually our community, our users are the ones who think about the product, and then they kind of direct us directly, right, through vote of so your product development cycle is completely different.
One really good benefit of building a chat app is that we have the easiest direct communication with all of our users. And so our users are really there in the forefront of driving the product forward.
That's phenomenal to think through. And just the idea of decentralized ownership of an app is you guys are trailblazers in this way. I mean, you're kind of upending hundreds of years of corporate top-down hierarchy. Has that ever struck you guys in terms of wow, this actually could be a movement within organizational structures? Or am I getting too philosophical?
I mean, yeah. I mean, you're right. I guess we've kind of seen it gradually increase and improve, and so there's never been a whoa moment. But when you look at where we are now versus no one thought this kind of thing could be possible about 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Mhm.
And given how smooth it has been for us, I definitely think this is a viable option for many businesses now.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are setting a standard that future businesses will have to at least adhere to or even exceed. So kudos to you. Where can people follow OpenChat on X?
Yeah, we're there at OpenChat, or get on oc.app.
I love it. I love it. I'm there. I'm going to have to talk to you about how to back in my my streak back on.
I crossed my 200-day streak 2 days ago, I think.
Nice. Is that the max? That's the max you could be at, right?
No, it will keep going. You get a badge if you get to 365.
Okay. I mean, more like 200 days ago was when the feature.
Yeah. I've got the longest streak by 1 because it was on our test system a day before the prod. So I'm winning.
Okay.
And I need to make sure I never lose it.
Well, Hamish, you're winning at life as well. Congrats to OpenChat and all the progress you guys have made in 2024.
Thank you.
We look forward to watching it develop in 2025.
Cheers.
Cheers. Phenomenal growth by OpenChat. You can catch them and follow their growth on Token Terminal as well. They have a personal dashboard that tracks their active users. It's all hockey stick up to the right, which I love seeing. Speaking of hockey stick and up to the right, let me bring up Emilio, DFINITY's head of global adoption. The hubs, the number of hubs in the world, ICP hubs, has gone hockey stick as well, Emilio. So I know you've been really, really busy in 2024. Welcome and congrats on the success of ICP hubs.
Oh, thanks, Kyle. Beautiful show so far. Thanks for this great insight on the growth of the internet computer ecosystem. Definitely, we're looking at a scale velocity for the world computer mission here. So yeah, as you said, the world computer kind of have a global footprint now, which took place in the form of ICP hubs, right? We're looking at the decentralized global ecosystem or community, and it's important to also understand how this hubs phenomena has blurred the line a little bit on the traditional notion of community and ecosystem, where different contributions and a very inclusive environment actually both benefits community growth, engagement, and opportunities, and is a very good place to accelerate and incubate very, very successful projects. In this case, of course, on the internet computer protocol.
Yeah. So I mean, you can see the graphic behind you where hubs is located. Give us a feel for how many hubs there are, and then also touch on the spokes model as well.
Yes, sure. So the program, which is supported by DFINITY Foundation, is pretty young. Actually, is a 2 years old program, which has already touched almost 40 countries, which is a lot. It covers more or less, and if some place is not there, please let me know. I will see. We'll see if it's possible to activate something right there. Which again, as I was saying, is a lot. It has created a very extensive network, which, aside from being, of course, regionally inspired and regionally based, also now cross-pollinates a lot around the globe. And this is very, very important. We like to address this as a global adoption and growth program, where global stands for, of course, a united vision, which drives the internet computer and the world computer mission. But also the local component guarantees a level of action which is approachable proximity matters when it comes to coming together, when it comes to discuss opportunities, when it comes to implement projects, accelerate and discuss possible partnership, etc., etc. So this is more or less high level view of where we are.
What I love about what Hubs is doing, well, first of all, is the fantastic growth you guys have had this year. But that focus on regionality, it came through in the developer report by Electric Capital, where ICP was the #3 chain overall in Africa. Like they broke down the geographies. So like one of the fastest growing developer communities, and then already like one of the largest in Africa, which is phenomenal because DFINITY doesn't have offices in Africa. So you see how Hubs allows ICP to kind of grow on its own within like the context of a regional. So kind of like walk us through like how you guys see this regionality taking shape, and what is the advantage of having like the folks on the ground in each local community?
Well, definitely geography and the way this program approaches it has been a factor of success. ICP Hubs so far can be addressed as a successful program, a program that is regarded at an industry level as a sort of a benchmark. There is a trend now at an industry level to move into hubs in order to also organize a little bit better, the ecosystem, the community, etc., etc. Now, every region is different. This is how this is the assumption based on which we initially designed the program and the funnels and the interaction, etc., etc. And of course, there are regions in the world where the quantity and the quality of Web3 developers is way higher compared to other regions in the world where, for example, there are more business opportunities or more academia related to Web3, or more enterprise or institutional kind of adoption, or perhaps even very enthusiastic and engaged community, but maybe a little bit less of this. In general, what we have seen till now, Latin America, Southeast Asia, and Africa are growing extremely fast. When it comes to this, Web3 development is a primary thing in universities, is a primary objective for young people that are deciding what to do and in their life, how to grow. There is a lot of attention to education, which again runs out of typically boot camps or hackathon, but even through a lot of collaborations with universities. ICP Hubs globally collaborate with hundreds of universities, and especially in regions like Africa, this become an incredible vehicle to channel interest and onboard new devs and create new opportunities that then becomes active developers, becomes new developers, becomes more repos on the electric capital report, etc., etc., etc.
I'm fond of saying talent is equally distributed, opportunity is not. I love that Hubs is basically bringing opportunity throughout the globe, because that is what makes for a vibrant community, a vibrant platform, is having an entrepreneurial spirit from a diversity in that to produce products that really matter. Hubs is bringing that throughout the globe. What can we look forward to in 2025 from Hubs? Is there a couple big objectives or highlights that you're expecting?
Yes, of course. There are new ideas, new plans, new strategies in place. As you rightly said, talent is a key aspect of the whole initiative. Those are catalysts of talents around the world. Primarily, that can be Web3 enthusiasts, can be Web3 marketers, can be developers, can be investors, can be different kinds of stakeholders, right? Connectors super connectors sometimes, as they like to address themselves as. And well, in general, as I said, so far, there is a lot of happiness about the outcomes of ICP Hub program. So in general, we can expect to continue on what we've seen until now. However, there will be a little bit more of segmentation regionally. So in order to optimize and insist a little bit more on the best quality of a certain place. So, for example, places where with more active communities, we'll see a certain range of activities. Places where devs are more prominent, we'll see another range of activity. Being the third year of the program, there is a lot of expectation on projects coming out from Hub's environment. The pipeline is pretty extensive, and you know it yourself, curating our dashboard. We have as well identified what we call few potential champions, which could see the light starting from Q1 2025, and so on and so forth, rolling out launches and different initiatives throughout the year. Education will also continue to be a very important vertical. Education is what makes things actionable. Usually in Web3, we think a lot about awareness, about outreach, etc. And then suddenly, completely down the funnel, you say, oh, but now we have to look at devs, at development, at code, at GitHub. There is a very important ring in the middle, and this is education. So the efforts related to this will definitely increase and become more prominent.
I love it. Emilio, as the snow falls outside my window here, I know in 2025, I have an objective to get down to the new office in Buenos Aires. So put that, let's find an excuse for that. But I want to thank you so much and for all the work that the Hubs team is doing, all the growth you guys have had in 2024. Recommend everyone watching, check them out on X at ICP Hubs. And also tomorrow, there's going to be a special town hall happening on X. And so definitely check that out. It's a great start to your weekend, and it's a global affair, which is phenomenal how you guys put these things together. So Emilio, I wish you so much thanks, and we'll hear from you soon.
Definitely, Kyle. As you said, tomorrow a global town hall is taking place. You might have seen on Twitter, LinkedIn, and other social media all those speaking cards popping up. Please connect if you want to know more about what's going on with ICP Hubs and what will be going on next year. And so far, thanks again. Great show, and speak soon.
Thanks so much, Emilio. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to bring up Gorazd to talk about DeFi on ICP. Gorazd, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Not sure my camera's on yet.
Oh, there you go. You're going. Yeah, you have the unenviable spot in the show. You're the very end before Dom comes on. So I think viewership is going to be really great for you here. But I more want to just touch base real quickly with you in terms of what how DeFi has changed on ICP in 2024. You've been in the weeds. You've been building throughout the year. So I want to get your take on how did we start 2024 and how are we finishing it?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe first of all, I'll start with kind of a lot of work has been done on really laying a great foundation. So like plumbing for DeFi. So there was a lot of work on standards, both token, wallet, etc., which enabled a lot of teams to really start building high quality end-to-end projects, which kind of are also not just very nice and geeky DeFi, but also extremely user-friendly. So you can have a very seamless experience using DeFi on the IC. I think the other thing that happened throughout this year was people really discovered new ways on how you can use the IC to do DeFi. So here I'm talking about using like Bob did to do a proof of work mining for a fair launch. So I think I never seen that in any other ecosystems right now, and it's like, you know, super cool. There was like some follow-ups with Burn and you know, doing the POS. So I think we'll see a lot more of that, you know, having a new approach to doing fair launches, but also helping burn some ICP in the process. So I think that was like the biggest kind of takeaway from DeFi this year. Also, we got liquid staking, which is great. I think that's also setting a base for a lot of kind of borrowing lending activities. It's going to come out in 2025.
Yeah, let's so in Kong, obviously KongSwap was a big part of the 2024 story. Really great interface, great marketing behind it. So I mean, from that perspective, how do you see things shaping in 2025? Is there any bold predictions you'd be willing to make for DeFi on ICP?
I think one prediction I would make is that we will see a spike in user growth. So people will, you know, more and more people will discover the IC, and you know, the onboarding will be super smooth for them. So it will be, you know, what we like to say internally is we always like to make the onboarding process such that even my grandma can start using the application in 2 or 3 clicks, right? So I think that's our ambition. So for anybody coming and want to try out DeFi on the IC, it should be extremely seamless. We got an amazing set of wallets right now that integrate nicely, so you can have both, like, you know, the wallet which you use with your private key or seed phrase, or you use a web browser-based wallet, which just creates extremely nice UI across different touch points, so be it mobile or desktop. And I think like the one thing I always like to mention is, you know, the reverse gas model is great, and I think people will also, you know, as more and more adoption comes to the IC, people will realize how nice it is that you don't have to have a gas coin, everything runs smoothly. And I think that's going to be the main focus of people really realize, wow, this is super nice. Like, there's no, you know, no friction. It runs smoothly. I can swap real fast. You know, I mean, it's not going to be like 20-30 second swaps, but people are just, you know, able to log in, start swapping. Swaps take 4 to 6 seconds, and, you know, you're off to the races.
It is. I love that you brought up reverse gas, because that is a feature that I hear people come back to time and time again, both from the developer side and from the user side. And it's perhaps one of the most underappreciated and yet most powerful features of the internet computer.
I agree 100%.
So where can people follow KongSwap? Where can people follow you to keep up to date on your progress?
Yeah. So we have an OpenChat channel. It's a community, so people can then comment, interact with us. We have a Telegram channel, or they can just go to kongswap.io. All the links are there as well. You know, do some trading, and then, you know, you can chat with us. We're always happy to take some, you know, feedback from everybody on how we can further improve Kong.
I love it. I love it. Everyone, make sure you check them out. Stay focused on DeFi in 2025, because that is certainly a narrative that has planted some seeds in 2024 that should pay off fruit in 2025. So, Gorazd, I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me. Yeah. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you've sat and watched some leaders from DFINITY, some leaders from the ICP ecosystem, and now I want to bring on stage the leader. Dom, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing, Carl?
Good. I've got it, like, just from putting on this show, the breadth of what has occurred on ICP in 2024 has just been phenomenal. And so I don't know how you stay on top of it, but it's just been a whirlwind of a year. And I think 2025 is going to be more of the same.
I agree. I think in many ways, it was our biggest year since we launched. I mean, there's just been so much happening, so many achievements on so many different axes. And actually, you know, I've forgotten about this cameo on, and someone said, look, you've got to, okay, right. And what are you going to talk about? And I'm like, you're going to talk about, you know, what you think is really the most important accomplishments of 2024. And it's like, wow, how can you choose? I mean, mean, anything you mentioned, whether it's like the base network, advances in AI, DeFi, the hubs, business development. I mean, it's just everything's been advancing at a tremendous rate, and you know, this was the first year the network, you know, hit sort of like 500% year-on-year growth in terms of the compute that's being processed, and you know, the ICP became briefly deflationary a few times. I mean, there's so many things that have happened. I think 25 is going to be a very interesting year. I mean, I think we're seeing this convergence between sort of Web3 functionality, the ability of the internet computer to play the role of a sort of general decentralized compute platform, even though people are building with real smart contract software and AI. And, you know, I'm really hopeful that this is what's going to kind of unleash true mass market impact, because that's kind of what, you know, to some degree has been lacking in our space so far. And when I say mass market impact, I don't mean just, you know, a few million people holding tokens and speculating, but you know, millions of people depending on the utility created by a decentralized network, like, you know, using, building on or using web applications and internet services with Web3 functionality or not, running on a decentralized internet, but, you know, decentralized network. Yeah.
You and I had a chance. We saw each other in DC I think a month ago, it was Project Liberty Summit. But there was a lot of thought leaders from what you'd call like the traditional internet space, and a lot of them had concerns. So what you just said kind of triggered this in my mind about the fact of like mass adoption really is this idea of like these people who are concerned about the current state of the internet actually finding ICP as a solution to that. And so like mass adoption isn't like, oh, we open up 1 million or 1 billion wallets and we get Bitcoin in everyone's wallets, or my mom buys Bitcoin or something like that on ICP. It's that like we basically fuse with the traditional internet and start solving actual problems that people are recognizing that exist, right?
Yeah, totally. I memean, that was a great event. It was the future of the internet run by Project Liberty. It was, for me, an enjoyable event. I actually got to meet a guy called Vint Cerf, who's a hero of mine. He's one of like the two sort of inventors of TCP/IP and the modern internet. But, you know, when you talk to people like that, they're not talking about like how many people have got tokens, what's the TVL, what's the trading volume. They're talking about, you know, how you, you know, prevent a massive centralization of power and control in hands of big tech, and ensure that we have a vibrant, diverse, and decentralized internet ecosystem. How you ensure that you know, there's a level of censorship resistance. How you ensure that you know, and any entrepreneur can have opportunities building within that. How you ensure that, you know, people have sovereignty over their data, and that kind of thing. And you know, so they have a very different kind of perspective. And you know, look, I mean, we believe in DeFi, and we believe things like NFTs and meme coins and so on have an important role. But the Internet Computer Project has always been directed towards solving the really big problems, like how to create a better back-end platform for humanity to build its information systems on. And information systems, you know, are the foundations of modern society. And you know, there are 8 billion people on this planet. There's just no way you could support that number of people without, you know, the automation via computers of things like supply chains and markets and so on. And also people, you know, increasingly, you know, use information systems to run their personal lives. You know, I mean, all of us spend a lot of time on social media interacting, consuming content and interacting with friends, family members, and people we don't even know. And so it's very important that, you know, the internet, you know, plays a similar role that it did for networking, and creates a kind of open, decentralized, or provides an open, decentralized platform people can build on. And not just that, but you know, there's always this sort of underlying vision of reinventing compute itself. Like, and making it easier to build, like, web application or internet service. And when I say web application and internet service, I mean something that could potentially have Web3 functionality embedded within it. And and some of these problems include things like cybersecurity, and cybercrime is almost costing the world $10 trillion a year now. And traditional IT is fundamentally insecure. I mean, you can try and protect it with cybersecurity measures like firewalls and anti-malware, but they're very fallible, and really it's impossible to secure. But we know on the internet computer there are, long-running sort of social networks, social media sites like OpenChat, which even have tokens inside, right? Because the internet computer paradigm is, fully on chain, not like on Amazon Web Services and then tokens on chain. The internet computer paradigm is there's no traditional tech. It's just the blockchain, and that's the future stack, and you build on the network. So the advantage being that, among many, that what you build is incredibly secure and resilient. In fact, it's to get technical, tamper-proof. So you don't need the protection of firewalls and anti-malware and other cybersecurity measures to be safe. So if you think about OpenChat, which was the first kind of social network, social media site on the internet computer that runs under the full control of community governance, fully automated control of community governance, it's got a relatively small team of developers, but lots and lots of users, and many of those users actually keep crypto in their chat account, so they can send crypto in instant chat messages. And OpenChat doesn't depend on traditional IT at all, right? And it's got no firewalls or anti-malware or security teams or anything like that protecting it. But it's been proving itself in the most hostile kind of environment possible. And it's not suffered hacks and downtime, which I think reflects that the internet computer is providing a better stack for the world to build on. And as AI becomes more powerful and more prevalent, and more people learn how to use it for nefarious purposes, I mean, we're going to see a huge spike in cybercrime, and it's going to become more and more important to build everything from a social network to an enterprise application to AI infrastructure in a way that it's immune to cyber attacks and unstoppable, so we can depend on it. And that's the sort of bigger, one of the bigger aims that the internet computer pursues. And of course, decentralizing the internet community or ecosystem where appropriate. And I think, again, OpenChat and lots of other services running on the internet computer under the control of these advanced DAOs called service nervous systems that fully automate, allow communities to fully automate and things like updating the smart contracts involved, and completely decentralized control to communities. I like showing us the future of the internet. Of course, the thing that's coming, I think, which is really exciting, is that we're moving into an era where we're going to have this, what I call the self-writing internet, where you can just talk to the internet, and the internet has intelligence embedded, and you can talk to the internet and say, this is the web application or internet service I need to create. And it could be something simple for personal purposes, like a personal branding website, or a wedding planner, or a game you want to share with friends, or it could be you're an entrepreneur and you want a sharing economy service with Web3 Rails, or it could be that you're an enterprise and you want to create some CRM functionality, so you'd have to sign up for something really expensive like Salesforce and get locked in, or it might be that you want an AI infrastructure, right? And you'll talk to the intelligent internet, and what you want will materialize on a URL within seconds, like maybe initially 1 or 2 minutes, but eventually seconds. And you'll be able to use that in production. You might let's say you run the Zurich hiking club or something like that, and you have this big community of people, and you might talk to the internet and say, hey, I want to use a forum with these specific features, right? And that could include even Web3 kind of payment rails and things like that. to allow people to contribute towards events and so on, whatever you want. And, the intelligent internet will just kind of make that appear for you. You'll own all the underlying software, even though you never have to modify it yourself. And of course, your data is not locked in. And then, you can keep on talking just to improve it, even when people are using it. So let's say you've got, hundreds of people in the Zurich hiking club, and they're all on this forum and making posts. You're going to be able to continue evolving, that user forum that the intelligent internet created for you, and you're not going to lose any data. You don't have to worry about it being hacked, of course, because it's tamper-proof. You're not going to have to worry about getting down because it's unstoppable. And this will completely sort of turn, I think, tech on its head and create a completely new paradigm that will just change the way that people think about a lot of things. And so the internet computer is at the forefront of, making that happen. And it's, as a network, it's already running AI models. There's a very cut down large language model running as a smart contract at the moment. And soon we're going to see massive further accelerations of AI running on the internet computer. And people are going to gain the ability to run large language models with much larger numbers of parameters. But separately to all that, I mean, it's no secret that, we've been working for years actually on aspects of the technology that enable AI to build web applications and internet services solo, without the help of technical people, without the support of, systems administrators and engineers and so on. And it's actually non-trivial. I won't delve into the technical aspects of this problem here, but there are many subtle and non-trivial technical challenges that have to be addressed to enable AI to be able to do this kind of thing. And at DFINITY, we've been working on this for a long time, and so I think 2025 we're going to see that land, and I'm super bullish and excited, because I think for the first time, it's going to give people a way. This sort of self-writing internet is going to give people a way to connect to the internet computer in which they couldn't before. Like, if you see some of my tweets, and I suppose if you go to like the internet computer website and look at the roadmap, it's pretty relentlessly technical. And sometimes, it can be difficult to relate all of this kind of unending, super technical work to practical utility. But I think we're getting to that kind of point where the technology is becoming so powerful that through applications like the self-writing internet, it's really going to land in the mass market consciousness and be adopted. For example, I just think the total addressable market for the self-writing internet is just almost infinite. It's huge. So I'm just excited to see that land next year. And, behind the scenes, obviously, we're working a way to get that, get these kind of things out in initial form as soon as possible. But it's very impressive and it's very exciting.
The kind of just to reinforce what you're saying, I was interviewing Arjun, who's a co-founder of Icp, building LLMs on the internet computer. And he just point blank said one of the advantages, you can think about the DAI movement is one thing, and there's specific problems that DAI solves relative to centralized AI. But he also said there's a separate thing in terms of complexity. He just flat out said, it is easier to deploy an LLM on the internet computer than it is AWS.
That's true.
And that is such a phenomenal statement, and backing up exactly what you're saying, right?
Yeah, well, look, of course, the limitation at the moment is that the LLMs running, don't have that many parameters, so you won't get too much sound advice out of them, and they're pretty slow. But in between the first neural network demo and the second neural network demo this year, there was a more than 10x speed up in inference. And there's more speed ups in inference coming. Plus, we're moving to a 64-bit execution environment, which will mean that AI smart contracts can pack a vastly larger number of parameters. So, as always, internet computer keeps on advancing, and AI is absolutely the core of everything we do now. Regarding how easy it is to deploy models on the internet computer. Yeah, that's true, and that's really important. Like, I mean, the whole world's internet computer paradigm is that you just upload code to the blockchain to build whatever you need, whether that's a social network, a Web3 service, or an enterprise app, or an AI model of some kind. It doesn't matter. Like, you just upload it, right? And so that, I think people are surprised to see that this AI is just another smart contract, and hey, it's pretty easy to deploy. But what's going to be really cool is, like, the self-writing internet is going to be able to not only create web application and internet service of a conventional kind, but also web applications and internet services with inbuilt Web3 functionality and AI functionality. So, your average Joe is going to be able to talk to the internet and say, hey, I want this service, and this is how AI is part of it. And in very many cases, literally a minute later, they're going to have it, like, right, on a URL. And so, the self-writing internet will allow people to, the intelligent part of the internet, if you like, that's allowing people to describe to the internet what they want and see it materialize. That will also be able to, in a sense, create applications of AI. And I mean, so the exact ways this will work, again, probably beyond the scope of our chat here. But it's honestly, I think this is probably, like, I'm really hopeful that this is the thing that mainstreams Web3, because look, the industry is in a funny place. Like, people like me, I mean, people have lost all sense of, like, history a little bit. And I got into this and I started working in blockchain, if you like, full time in 2013. And early people like me are really driven by just a love for the technology and the positive impact it can create in the world, and solving these really big problems like security, centralized financial rails, decentralizing control over internet services, and AI, of course, is AI on the blockchain. And I don't mean like on Amazon Web Services with a token on the blockchain. I mean actually AI on the blockchain as a smart contract. And and I think we're in a funny place where the technology is kind of complicated, and this meant that there's a lot of kind of vaporware out there in the world with powerful accompanying narratives that it's difficult for the non-technical to evaluate. And I actually just made a tweet to this effect. Like, if you look at CoinMarketCap, like, honestly, 95% of it's junk. I'll say it. I've said it. That's not a toxic comment. That's just telling people the truth. And the reason it's become like that, I think, is that the market's just, like, punch drunk from vaporware narratives, and people just can't see the wood for the trees anymore. And that's a bad place for our industry to be in, because everything is now being treated as a meme coin, right? There's a complete disconnect from the value, the actual value of projects, and the technology and the potential and adoption and all this kind of stuff, and how they're evaluated, right? Which is all on kind of metrics that can be cooked and just based on paid KOLs pumping stuff, and paid press promoting it, and paid industry research promoting it. And it's a dangerous place for the industry. It's a very different place than where I started out. I mean, more than a decade ago, and in a place we just focused on, like, this technology has so much potential. We can bring all this incredible impact. And I think the solution to this place the industry finds itself in is for just breakout mass market technology to have just this massive impact that just sort of rationalizes everything. And I think it's going to be AI that does that. And it's going to be AI that is not just like running on Amazon with a token. It's going to be AI that, like, runs on the blockchain, and AI that creates the self-writing internet, so that people can just, like, experience a kind of new kind of magical internet where you can imagine some web application or internet service you'd like, right? Anything from just a personal branding website through to something incredibly sophisticated, right? And just describe it and interact with the AI and actually have it. And and update it by more talk, and for that to be, tamper-proof, so you don't need cybersecurity, for that to be unstoppable, so you don't have to worry, you just, all you do is just describe the functionality and what it has to do. And it should be magical to the level that, you can describe AI functionality, and that will be created for you by the AI. And I don't think we're that far from that. I think we're going to see this in 2025. I would be very surprised if we're certainly going to see a lot of this in 2025. But so, I can tell you like that's, the self-writing internet's a given. It's going to be there in 25. I think the question is, how far can it go? Because this is just the beginning. What when it first emerges, it's going to be very powerful, but it can go a lot further, almost without limit. And so I think it's going to be a new chapter, not only with respect to how these networks function and what they do, but in terms of accessibility and their reach, right? I mean, imagine that 8 billion people, and I don't know what proportion old and wise enough to be able to describe this kind of stuff in non-technical terms, but let's say it's like 2 or 3 billion people. So can you imagine like 2 or 3 billion people become kind of like developers that can create web applications and internet services? That is really exciting. And so there we go. That's what I think is most exciting about 2025.
I love that you've weaved a bunch of narratives. If we go back, like historically speaking, like when blockchain was first created, when crypto was first starting to be theorized, there were a lot of problems with the internet, with big tech's takeover of the internet, that people saw blockchain as the solution. We've, as an industry, certainly lost that narrative, where now it seems like the problem we're trying to solve is the world doesn't have enough meme coins. Exactly what you're saying, that, DFINITY, ICP, we're still focused on that original mission of solving big problems on the internet. How in 2025 should we think about, as a community, like our role as like a leadership role in the industry, and trying to pull the industry back towards what it should be?
Well, it's going back to the future, right? That's what I want to see. I want to see Web3 go back to the future and regain its kind of integrity and sort of philosophical zeal and mission. And the whole blockchain thing started off with Bitcoin, right? And this dream of creating a store of value. Originally, and it's really become like a digital gold, but originally it was meant to be like a currency, and there wouldn't be it would be international and global, and wouldn't there wouldn't be intermediaries who could stop you making transfers or take your Bitcoin away, and it wouldn't be under the control of anyone. And then that, I think there's lots of elements of like the Bitcoin mission that have come to pass, and but for someone like me, it was like, well, store of value is one thing, but like, what about the logic that processes value? Like, and that was like, that's how Ethereum started, right? How do you create like decentralized financial systems that have the similar properties to Bitcoin itself? Like, how do you make logic like a Bitcoin? And that's where this smart contract thing came from. But by 2014, 2015, I was like, the word, sort of the phrase world computer had kind of been bandied around, and my vision began to diverge from the sort of Ethereum community's vision, which was like, oh well, the world computer is like a pocket calculator, and I'm like, no, wait a second, like this smart contract software. Well, let's just stop calling it smart contracts, because it implies a very limited application for this new kind of software. Let's just think about it as network resident software, and then let's think about if we could remove all of the performance, efficiency, scalability, and so on limitations, so that it was a real world computer, not a world pocket calculator kind of thing. Would this be useful? And of course, the answer is overwhelmingly yes. I mentioned earlier, like, the world's almost experienced experiencing $10 trillion in losses due to cybercrime. That's just a staggering number, and that value could be much better deployed elsewhere. And the problems, I think, are going to accelerate with AI. So even, you know, if blockchain is a real world computer and you can build using an evolution of smart contracts that's tamper-proof and unstoppable, so you don't need cybersecurity defenses anymore, then, or at least any conventional cybersecurity defenses anymore, well, that's a huge seminal computer science result and advance, right? And that's what's already been achieved on the internet computer. If you can decentralize controls so that, you know, people aren't captive customers and big tech can't act as gatekeepers and so on, you can do the same thing that the internet did for compute, that the internet did for connectivity for compute. Again, like, you know, this is just something with immense potential and importance. And again, that's been achieved. And so there are different ways of thinking about, you know, the value of blockchain. And, you know, I mean, like sometimes there are things that, you know, draw a lot of attention and activity, like NFTs and meme coins. And I'm supportive of meme coin and NFT projects. But at the end, they tend to be kind of like speculative festivals or something like that, right? And they come and go. And, you know, I think people now realize that you shouldn't spend, you know, $10,000 of your hard-earned cash on just any old JPEG generated, you know, and stuck online. And albeit, you know, NFTs have a very serious role within the art community. And, you know, and I think a lot of meme coins are going to be something similar. Like, you know, it's a kind of crazy game. In many cases, they're crazy games of chicken. Do they have a role? Yes, they're great fun, and they're great ways to sort of gamble and speculate. But and sometimes some of these meme coins will actually become their own long-lasting cryptocurrencies. But, you know, you know, the underlying principles involved in blockchain, you know, have much more potential than that, right? And you know, I think the internet computer mission was from early on. I mean, the word DFINITY, which is a concatenation of decentralized infinity, portmanteau, I think it's called, it was always, you know, focused on taking these principles, and that, you know, I first came to understand picking apart like Satoshi's work on Bitcoin, and sort of like scaling them out and applying them to solve more general problems in the field of compute. So that it's not just, you know, decentralized digital gold that we've got, but you know, pretty much anything that you can build on a compute stack can be decentralized, and you know, will come with these like wonderful properties, like, for example, you know, that they're tamper-proof and unstoppable, and can process tokenized value as though it were data. And now, of course, this new dimension with AI will become incredibly important. So, yeah, I think, you know, internet computers always, you know, work towards doing big things. Like, as a project, like, you know, the vast majority of our resources have been directed into hardcore R&D. I don't think it's unfair to say that there's no operation in our industry that remotely matches the R&D engine behind the internet computer. It's just, you know, internet computer R&D happens on a different scale. It's very well organized, and has brilliant people involved, and it just makes this tremendous progress. I think the challenge for the internet computer project, some of it, like, I think some of it's just to do with timing and economics. Like, you know, people often look at the token and they go, oh, why is it, if it's so great, why is it not, you know, moving around more, kind of thing? And well, the answer there is, I think, you know, the project goes back to the early days, and the majority of like ICP was sold off at 3 cents and so on. So people are still selling that, right? And on huge multiples. It's very different to other, you know, other big projects where, in fact, you know, they raised hundreds of millions of dollars at a price that's higher than what they see now, right? And so there's no one selling, and this token supply is extremely centralized, and they can like do all this manipulation, and that's just not what DFINITY and the internet computer project's about, right? We're about technology, and we think in the end everything will become rational. But within that, context, and within the context of that, we're not the VC coin. We haven't got all these sort of powerful backers pumping it. We're not, spreading money amongst KOLs. We're not like paying the press and industry research and things like that. And within an environment where, the prevailing paradigm is, sometimes can be like, technology that's much less developed, right? But which benefits from these strong narratives that sound convincing. And sometimes that creates a lot of smoke that stops people seeing the internet computer. And that's why, Electric Capital just recently released this report that showed ICP was number 3 for new developers in 2024. People are scratching their heads like, how can that be the case? It must be fake. And the reason for that is, you don't see any coverages of us in some parts of the press and so on, because we're not paying everyone, right? And but I think the solution to the markets and the industry will become rational, and the way it's going to happen is through breakout technology that completely transcends basic speculation and narratives and delivers like just revolutionary utility to the mass market all around the world. And that can happen in surprising ways when you combine lots of different advanced technologies together for the first time. In the same way, really, I think this year was the year of like AI, right? All of a sudden, large language models reach this level of advancement where people are just having their minds blown and seeing this sort of infinite potential that they present. And I think that, but before that, like it was kind of fringe, right? And I think the internet computer is like approaching a similar moment where sort of confluence of different advancements or sort of converge to create mass market impact in 25. Yeah.
It does feel, if you think about ChatGPT, its release in November 2023 was a flag in the ground that I think history will look back at. It feels like ICP has planted the seeds ready for that same flag in 2025 for sure, in terms of decentralized web, reducing IT complexity, bringing software development to the masses, all of those.
Okay, here's a way of thinking about it. Like, the reality is with a lot of these networks, it's very difficult for the average man, I'm going to say the average man, for anyone to evaluate the validity of the claims being made. And most people are just not equipped technically to evaluate different technologies and sort of sort the wheat from the chaff and so on. And you can see this has been happening in our industry for a long time. Like, whenever people were launching a new blockchain, it would always be with a white paper talking about some kind of consensus protocol or something like that. Like, how many people have like the distributed computing background required to evaluate consensus protocols? And so white papers began to function as a kind of complexity scam, right? Whereby every project would launch with some kind of fancy white paper that would sort of be confusing, and in reality, just the more formulas people saw on the paper, the better they thought it was, or something like that, right? And that really can be extended to much further, right, into narratives. The narrative started with like some kind of thing like we got the best consensus protocol. It's all about the consensus protocol, and then it became like broadened out. But it's all the same kind of thing. Sometimes our industry can operate in the mode of a complexity scam where, there's sort of vaporware technology, and then there's an elaborate kind of marketing and sort of narratives around the technology, and it's very difficult for the average man. I'm not the average man. I mean, anyone. What I mean by the average man is anyone who just doesn't have deep technical training and doesn't really know the industry from the inside. It's very difficult for the average man or woman, I should say. Or person, I should say, right? Very difficult for the average person to see past all of this stuff, right? And there's just so much snake oil. But where I think that the self-writing internet is going to right that situation is that everybody's going to want to use the self-writing internet, and it can't really be faked. I already see people like, I think there's quite a few projects that have already sort of worked out what's coming to the internet computer, and they're already trying to create fake versions of it. But I mean, I must warn them, those fake versions are not going to fare very well in comparison to the real thing, right? And yeah, I think there's going to be like what's going to be so cool is like people for the first time are going to be able to see the internet computer interact with the intelligent self-writing internet, describe things that they want, and then actually see it on a URL and see it working, right? Like the magic will be perceptible, right, outside of like some kind of marketing narrative. Like, and I think, you know, it's going to begin to really, hopefully, like change the way some of this works, right? Like in the future, like, you know, for the Web3 industry to be really healthy, like there has to be ways for people to actually experience technology and somehow kind of like validate it for themselves. Like Google, right? I mean, you know, I remember the end of the 90s, the search engine wars, and then, you know, Google came out and sort of rationalized the industry. And I mean, it wasn't like you had to like read a white paper or listen to Google's marketing to see that Google was a good search engine. You went to google.com, the page appeared instantly, you put in your search terms, and it came back with a really good list of results, right? You know, scroll forward to today, you know, with when GPT launched, you didn't have to listen to a bunch of marketing and KOLs and narratives, right? You just basically logged on to GPT and you know, put in some prompts and saw, wow, this thing's like amazing. It's giving it incredible, right? So, you know, Web3, ironically, outside of the realms of sort of token speculation, isn't there yet, right? But it's coming. That's what's so exciting. Like this point at which people can just talk to the internet, and then these amazing things will materialize according to what they ask for, and that's tangible, perceptible, useful, right? You don't need a narrative. You don't need any marketing. People can just do it, right? Just interact with the internet and get what they want. So, yeah, I'm just so super excited about it, and that's what we're doing. That's been consuming a lot of time behind the scenes and a lot of focus, but it's all going to be worth it. Like it's I sort of see it as like kind of the point at which a lot of different pieces are brought together, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna give you one. I promise not to get technical, but I will give one example. So, you know, internet computer supports this thing called orthogonal persistence, right? Where the software logic, which is WebAssembly compiled from a, you know, programming language like Motoko or Rust or whatever it is, runs in these memory pages that are persistent. And there's a whole sort of clever framework that makes that possible. And one of the reasons is to we did that is to try and simplify what's involved with building on a blockchain, you know, building a web application or an internet service on a blockchain. The important piece with respect to AI, one is, yes, it's much, you know, for one-shot AI, it's much better to code for a highly abstracted environment, right, which gets rid of a lot of the complexity of traditional IT. But it's also, you know, one of the challenges of allowing sort of AI to build solo is that AI can hallucinate and make mistakes, and you can't have a situation where the AI hallucinates and makes a mistake and your data, you know, the data inside the user form I was talking about earlier disappears in a puff of smoke, right? That'd be a disaster. Or even worse, you know, the AI has created some kind of DeFi system for you, and the value's lost. So anyway, you know, some of these conversations about orthogonal persistence that date back to really to 2018 only just being realized now in new versions that are about to be released, which are actually gating some of this self-writing internet stuff. And you know, when you think about the self-writing internet, on the one hand, like, you know, you're talking, you know, someone's gonna be interacting with AI. It could even be like speaking, like, right? Because AI can speak, it doesn't even have to be chat. Like, and then in response to that, like AI is upgrading like a running web application or internet service. So that has to be, that process has to be very efficient, firstly. But secondly, and most importantly, because even if that thing is slow, people will still want to use it. Most importantly, it has to be loss safe, right? It can't be the case that, it's constantly losing people's data by making a mistake, constantly making mistakes and losing data. So, that's one of the aspects of, I wrote about it on Twitter. That's one of the aspects of the platform. So, think about that. That's what we do at DFINITY. Like, we have these big technical ideas, and we've always been willing just to have this sort of delayed satisfaction, if you like, of just investing years and years of effort into R&D. And this thing that we call enhanced orthogonal persistence, I was asking for this in 2018. So it's going to be more than 6 years, right, since this, since I started asking for this, and now we're finally going to get it. And guess what? It's enables AI in this just incredible way. And so that's what I mean. Things are coming together. 2025 is going to be a really big year for us. And I think we want to make it a big year for the industry by sort of rationalizing, the force of blockchain, if you like, right? By achieving, mass market impact outside of just speculation and tokens, and through doing that, kind of bring the focus back to the power of the technology and the possibilities of positive impact that it creates.
That's the vision I came to DFINITY for. I think most of the people in the ICP community are here because they want to be part of the future. You just laid out what the future looks like. I've watched as you've been talking the sunset behind you, so I know it's getting late there. And I've used up more than the time that you graciously allotted for me, Dom. So I want to just say thank you so much for coming, speaking, giving that vision to the ICP community. And again, thank you so much, and we look forward to 2025.
Yeah, and for me, I want to thank everyone at DFINITY who's worked so tirelessly, everyone in the community that stuck by us. It wouldn't have been possible without you. So, thank you.
It's been a fun ride, that's for sure, and things are only getting started.
We're only getting started, isn't that crazy? The word DFINITY started being used in 2015, and here we are 10 years later, and we're just getting started. I'm so bullish about the future. I think 2025 is going to be a seminal year for the whole project.
I love it. Well, not just for the project, but the project's impact in the general internet.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, there's no better place to end a live stream. Dom, thank you so much, and to all the viewers out there, I want to just say thank you so much for everything you've done in 2024, and just say let's all get excited for 2025 and the amazingness of what that will be. So happy holidays, everyone, and we'll see you on the other side of the new year.
Bye-bye.